Hey guys, my name is Jen Carrasco. I am a serial entrepreneur, founder of many six-figure businesses. I am also a skincare creator, an IFBB pro athlete that is extremely passionate about helping entrepreneurs grow their business and, most importantly, helping you and everybody else to own their shit. Welcome to Own Your Shit, the podcast. This is the show where we stop the comparison cycle, we eliminate the need for a secret sauce, and realize that the faster we own the way we stand in our own way, the faster and shorter the route is to creating that life we all crave. So, with that being said, now let's own your own shit. Hey guys, welcome back to Own Your Shit with Jen Carrasco. And I have one of my amazing Apex brothers. But before I introduce him, I want you to please like, review, share, and give your feedback. Let us know how we're doing, how we can help you, because that's what we're here for. We all are here to let you know that we own our shit. And how we owned our shit is how we got ahead in life, because we screwed up royally many a times, but we kept pushing forward. So my Apex brother that here is dynamite. Him and his wife are phenomenal people. And I'm proud to call him my brother and family. And so I want to introduce Michael. Now, Michael, how I normally do this is I let you introduce yourself. I let you give yourself a background of what you do. And then that way our listeners know exactly, what you are, what you're about, and what advice you want to give to other people. So I'm going to let you take this over with introducing yourself.
Outstanding. And first and foremost, thank you, Jen, for having me on. I love being on podcasts. I think I love to hear my own self speak. So I appreciate the opportunity to get on your podcast and help you grow amongst your audience. So hopefully I dropped some really good information for your listeners and viewers. And so pretty excited about it. So I like to label myself as almost like a serial entrepreneur. At the age of 14, I started my first company, which was mowing yards and raking leaves. And so I just had the drive and the spirit. And I think what really drove me is that we were really, really broke, a family. And so we were the have-nots, and I was always seeing the people that were the haves. And so in my brain, I said, you know what? I do not want to live this way when I become an adult. So what do I need to do today to make those changes? And that's when I started just my own little hustle and grind and mowing yards and this, that, and the other, and some other extracurricular activities that I don't really need to go into, right? We all make poor decisions when we're young and dumb. But at the ripe age of 18, I graduated high school, joined the United States Navy, and became a combat corpsman. Not know what a corpsman is. It's a medical personnel for the Marine Corps. So combat corpsman, joined the Navy in 1999, was attached to our first unit, which is the 1st Light Armored Reconnaissance team out of Camp Pendleton. And we deployed over into Afghanistan in 2001 after September 11th. From there, we were there until probably April, May of 2002. Came back. I got married to my wife. We've married 18 years now with her. Brought her to California. Once she was there, we stayed there for about 6 months. And I got deployed to Iraq. So she had to go all the way back home to Texas, which was kind of a crazy process for her to do by herself. Because at that time, she was probably 19, 20 years old. So that's a huge responsibility for anybody to travel from California back home to Texas. So deployed over to Iraq, was there from March of 2003. So probably late November of 2003, the beginning of 2004. Got out of the service, attained my bachelor's degree, and started my first company in 2011, which is called USA Mobile Drug Testing. Very niche company. What that kind of entails in a nutshell is we provide compliance and safety for pre-employment, post-accidents, and random drug testing for larger manufacturing companies and truck drivers out there, or any company that just wants to make sure they're not hiring drug addicts, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because employees is our largest cost. And if you have an employee that's on your staff that is drinking alcohol, using some sort of a substance, regardless if it's illegal or prescription, right? You can abuse anything out there, right? So there's addiction takes many forms. And so I was able to just share my experience and the knowledge with HR and safety directors, and was able to grow that company over the last 12 years by leaps and bounds. Happy to say that I have that company on autopilot now.
Nice.
I show up maybe once a month,
Yeah.
and it's worked really, really well. In 2016, I opened up Doc's Roofing and Construction, and now we're 2021, and I've grown that company to about 10 team members, and we're consistently growing and just becoming better. And me and my wife actually partnered up together and went into buying and flipping real estate. So
Awesome.
yeah, kind of me in a nutshell, and kind
Yeah.
of how
Yeah.
we operate.
Well, like any great entrepreneurs, I mean, we kind of dive in, we get one thing dialed in and it's like, okay, well, what's next? What's next? And we keep pushing ourselves, right? I want to scale back a little bit and just talk. How did you get into doing your first business? Like what was your drive
So
to
interesting
do that?
story. My wife's uncle wanted to move some of his retirement money into a business. Me and him had a really good relationship, and he was like, Mike, do you want to go in partnership with me and oversee and run this company? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Right. And so I quit my job and I jumped feet first into the deep end, so to speak. And we had interviewed several different franchises prior to purchasing the USA MDT franchise, from Subways to Anytime Fitness to Surf Pros, you name it, right? We just
Yeah.
used a franchise kind of a consultant to see what was out there. And we really appreciated what the USA MDT brand had to offer. It was a niche industry, and competition was really low, and startup cost was minimal. That made it fit all of our parameters.
Yeah.
And so that was really the driving force for me to quit the 9 to 5 and go feet first into being a business owner.
Awesome. And how did that feel? So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because right now I think in society, right? I feel like a lot of people are in this turmoil of, do I stay with the company and work with the company, or do I break free and build my own company? And what would you give them as someone who's just starting off, advice from going from working to building your own company, and what that looks like for you?
My advice would be, make sure it's your passion of whatever you're deciding to get into, whatever venture that you want to go down. Make sure that you understand that the first 1 to 3 years is the most difficult part of starting your own company. Another great thing would be stay consistent, understand your target market, understand your audience. One of the things that kind of bit me when I was young into the business game was I would spend my profit, right? I wouldn't set aside a percentage of profits
15%.
earned when taxes came around, right? Or when a fire hit, right? I didn't have that working capital because I was making money, and my brain was like, well, it's profit, so it's mine, right? So understanding cash flow is extremely important at the beginning of the stages of starting your own business. Also, knowing how tough is your competition and what are you going to do to stand out from your competition.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. So I know there is one question that I know you and I talked about before, and I think it would be really good to dive in, is I really want to talk about the workout factor. So as entrepreneurs, I feel great entrepreneurs and great leaders and great business owners are the people that are dialed into their company, but they're also dialed into their fitness routine, and they're also dialed into their nutrition, things like that, to a point, right? I'm not saying that all entrepreneurs or business people aren't good business people if they don't have that. But I just know that if you have that structure together, you're always kind of like a better leader because you're structured, right? I know for you, fitness has been very like number one in your life. And can you explain how that came about and why you're so passionate about that?
Yeah. And so that kind of really hits home for me. I'm a recovering drug and alcoholic addict.
Hmm.
Okay. And so earlier in the podcast, I had said I did certain things at a younger age to make ends meet. Right. So some of those certain things were obscure activities. Right. And
Yeah.
I got caught up with the wrong people. I played in the wrong, I danced at the wrong dance, so to speak. Right. And what is the analogy they use? Your network is your net worth.
Hmm.
Well, I promise you, my network was not nearly worth what the net worth was, right? I was just dealing with people that didn't have a big vision.
Yeah.
And I knew I was smarter than those people. I knew I was better than those people, but there was a fear of loss of friendship. So I thought I had to drink to fit in. I thought I had to do this to fit in. I thought I had to make these poor choices in order to be accepted into a certain group of people, which was just a lie that I told myself to
Yeah.
make me feel better, right? So finally, about 6 years ago, it was actually May of 2014, that I was just mentally, physically, and spiritually bankrupt. Like I
Yep.
just couldn't handle it anymore. I'd lost communication with my wife. I mean, we were more roommates than we were soulmates. My children, I didn't, you know what I mean? I showed up, but I wasn't there in my mental faculty. And so a lot of times people struggle in recovery with what's called substitute addiction. Okay. So if I quit drinking, I have to fill that void with something else. Some people turn to food. Some people turn to shopping. Some people turn to education or whatever or AA meetings, right? Like I was that guy. I turned to AA meetings. I was doing like 3 meetings a day for a year straight, which was a strain on our relationship. But in my brain, I was like, well, I need to go to these so I don't make poor choices, right? I was able to tell, that's how I convinced myself that I needed to go to this many meetings in order to maintain a healthy, sober lifestyle,
Yeah.
right? But that was, again, I was lying to myself because I didn't face the demons within inside,
Yeah.
right? So then a friend of mine was like, man, why don't we go to the gym? And I was anti-gym at this time, right? I was like, no, there ain't no freaking way I'm going to go to the gym. I don't like the gym. I was just totally anti-health. Well, there was a therapeutic value that I received when I began to go to the gym consistently, right? There was the release of the dopamine receptors, the endorphins were released, the serotonins, the oxytocins, the way you felt after you worked out, right? So I started to get attracted to that again.
Yeah.
And then I just said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I am going to do this consistently, day in and day out. And here I am 6 years later, like work out 3 to 4 times a week. My nutrition is not where it should be. My wife hates it because she's like, you can eat Whataburger every day and never gain a pound. And that is true, because I do eat Whataburger every day and I don't gain a pound. And she thinks it's ridiculous, but it's just the
those men
genes I was dealt. It was just the genes that I picked up, and those are the ones that I wear. And that's just how it is. That's the way the cookie crumbled. So today, my core values are God, health, and wealth, right? So I stick to those. So in the mornings, I pray, or I read some sort of meditation book, or I try to just give myself time to communicate with a spirit, a power bigger than myself, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people in this world, in my opinion, have a view of God, the word God, as a bad connotation, right? And so when I teach my team about core values, I use the word God, but I also let them know that it's referencing a power bigger than you, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's out there making the wind blow. Somebody's out there making it rain. You know what I mean? So there's nothing out there that you can't tell me that there's nothing bigger than you,
Yeah.
when I can plainly see it on a daily basis. So I began to implement a healthy lifestyle inside of my family, right? I started it. My wife jumped on board. Now my son comes to the gym with me. And so now it becomes a family affair.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
honestly, Jen, that shit didn't happen overnight,
Yeah.
right? It was
Yeah.
time, it was energy, it was consistency, it was getting up before they got up so I could go and do my workout and then make it back home so I could help get them ready for school, right? I
Yeah.
had to fit it in my schedule, right? And that's where I think some business owners kind of fall short is they don't force it into their schedule. I had to become purposefully of going to the gym. I had to make it, this is what you're going to do. And there was no other choices because I knew the end result.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So question before we end this, I try to keep the podcast about like 30, 40 minutes. People's attention span is not as long. So question for you.
Mhm.
And what in your life do you feel like is your shit moment that literally changed you? It could be business, it could be
It
personal.
was when I decided
It
to
was
sober up.
okay. And
When I,
how did that come about? I mean, I know that you said, okay, I needed to change, I need to do this, but what was like your fucking breaking point?
it's pretty crazy. My breaking point is it was rock bottom. I hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
I found myself on Christmas Eve sitting in my backyard with a gallon of moonshine in my hands on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Like that was my breaking point where my children were looking at me and going, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why aren't you in here wrapping presents? Why aren't you in here doing family stuff while I'm
Yeah.
outside getting loaded?" You know what I mean? That was my breaking point when I saw the devastation in my wife and my children's face. And when my wife said, "You know what? I'm done. I'm done. I've had it.
Yeah.
I'm done. Pack your shit and get." Like that was my breaking point. That's when the rubber hit the road where I was like, holy crap, what have I done? And how did I get here? How did I get
Yeah.
so far down this rabbit hole and get so far gone off the beaten path? You know what I mean? And I honestly thought there was no saving me. I really
Yeah.
did. I didn't think there was no way back. And for those out there that are listening, I promise you there is a way back out. And I promise you that it doesn't happen overnight. It is not an overnight success. It is not something that I woke up one morning and I no longer felt the need to drink. I no longer felt the need to make poor choices. I promise you every single day there is a trigger. There's something around the corner. I use an analogy, the devil's outside doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Right? So right outside this door, there's an unknown demon that's waiting to trip up Mike Rannigan so that I can go make a mistake, so that I can rationalize it's okay to go drink or go do whatever and go make poor choices, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I keep that in the forefront of my brain that there's an energy in this world that wants to see you fail.
Yeah.
But also there's an energy in this world that wants to see you succeed. And
Yeah.
you feel that energy every time we come into Fly-In Fridays, right?
Yeah.
You feel that energy when you go to these speaker events, right? Those are the people that want to see you successful. Those are the energy that I chase now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oftentimes I was chasing the dragon. I don't know if you've ever heard that
Yeah.
deal, right? So we're always, you know what I mean? I always play the tape all the way to the end.
Yeah.
If that kind of makes sense. So
Absolutely.
I have to make sure that if I make whatever choices I make today have to have a direct positive result tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Because whatever negative choice I make today is definitely going to have a negative choice on tomorrow. So I just have to be cognizant of that. And I make a conscious effort every single day to say, today, Mike, you are not going to do X, Y, and Z. And I stick to it. And I do it every single day. And some days are easier than others. You know what I mean? I still have moments where it's just like, what am I fucking doing? And why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What is the result? But that's just, again, that's the devil outside doing push-ups, right? That's him getting inside my own brain housing group, trying to convince me that I'm not doing the right things. When, oh, man, all your friends are over here partying. Look at them having all this fun. You know what I mean? So I would definitely have to state that was my breaking point that really transitioned and shifted my perspective and my mindset.
And so let's give the viewers a little bit more about you. What is your next steps, your next goals? Like what are you working on?
So you may know that I'm running that Patriot Business Alliance with a couple of other veterans. And actually tomorrow will be our first live speaker event. I'd said in March of this year that I wanted to have one. The guys
Mhm.
thought I was crazy. And I said, I am crazy. I said, but we're going to freaking do it. And so I put it in motion and I just didn't stop. And, um, and I just didn't stop. And so next thing you know, I got a hold of Thomas and said, man, how do you guys run your stuff? And he's like, dude, use this program called ViewStub, and got a hold of that guy, implemented it. And they say, we're sold out. So my next big
Nice.
goals is really to take the Patriot Business Alliance to a whole nother level and create speaking engagements, be a speaker, on-stage speaker. I love it. The first time I ever spoke, I was 14 years old. I was at an Alateen conference and I shared my story of what it was like to be a child of an alcoholic addict. And I
Yeah.
shared my story in front of probably 300 teenagers and parents and got a standing ovation. They're like, whoa, can you talk to my son? Can you talk to my daughter? Can you tell, you know what I mean? That it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the big goal for me. That's where I'm
That's
at.
awesome.
I'm working on emulating the great speakers of the world and just sharing my story with those around us that are going to be able to benefit from it.
That's incredible. And it's great. It's giving back. It's really helping others. And that's why I'm glad to be a part of Apex and a part of you guys and have you guys as
Oh,
part of my
it's
family.
exciting. It's fun. It's fast paced. It's right up my alley. It just
Yeah.
hits all my buttons. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just the energy. You met my wife. It is not her cup of tea.
Yeah.
But we're getting her there, Jan. Just kidding.
She'll do it. She'll
She'll
do
do
it.
She'll do it. She'll do great too.
She'll do it.
So she's phenomenal.
Awesome. So where can people find you?
You guys can always find us on many of the social media platforms. Just look up Michael Randigan. You can look up Doc's Roofing. You can always call me 214-284-0695. But honestly, the best and simplest way is to get on Facebook, Instagram, and just search my name. And I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide. I'm 100% transparent. I can go as deep into the ditches that you want, or I can keep it as light and fun and entertaining as you need. But you're right. It's all about giving back. I just have a huge servant's heart, and I just want to give back to what's been so freely given to me.
Yeah.
And that's the gift of sobriety.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing everything. When this comes out, I will be posting everything about you, where they can get a hold of you, anything like that as well. So I just want to thank you. Thank you for coming on and giving me your time and giving everybody else your time and your story and your passion. So again, with everybody, it's all about owning your shit. It's about owning who you are and making your life better for yourself and other people. It's about giving back. So with that said, please please share, please review. And I just want to say thank you for everybody for tuning in today, and have a phenomenal week.
That's right. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Jen.
Well, guys, that's a wrap for another episode of Own Your Own Shit. Now that this is half the battle, owning your shit allows you the freedom to create something even better in your life. Getting out of your own way, it doesn't have to be lonely. Making sure to follow me for more advice. Follow me on every social media platform at Jen Carrasco. My Instagram is Jen Carrasco with 2 underscores. Find me on Facebook at the same name. And of course, share the episode with friends who need some help in the tough times, and typically helping them to own their shit. So with that being said, see you guys next week.